up one day to the fear of war in your area. A rebel group has started a war against the government, targeting and killing important leaders from specific ethnic group. In the same group your spouse belongs to. The killings are incredible, brutal, and scary. Your spouse and children are terrified, and you realize you're not safe either. If you are married to someone from that ethnic group, you are seen as a traitor. This isn't a made-up story. It happened in Rwanda. General Kagame was leading his troops during the 1994 Rwandan Genocide, a planned campaign of mass murder that lasted 100 days and led to over 800,000 deaths. They targeted the Tutsi minority and anyone who opposed them. Imagine 200,000 people chasing after you with machetes and guns just because you're from a different tribe. In Nigeria, we have faced similar terrible events. These killings have deeply hurt everyone. The British colonial rulers made a big mistake by joining northern Nigeria and southern Nigeria into one country. This decision, which gave Nigeria independence in 1960, started to fall apart just 6 years later. Some young Igbo officers in Nigerian army tried to take over the government in a coup. This led to the death of Nigerian first Prime Minister. Many important politicians, army officers, and their wives, even though another Igbo officer stopped the coup. The cause of a lot of trouble, people started saying that most of the officers who planned the coup were Igbos, and the leaders was also Igbo. This made Northerners scared, thinking their worst fears were coming through. Think about all of this trouble, all of this struggle. The Igbo people are often thought of as very ambitious and determined. When they go into a new place, like a village or a town, they tend to become leaders in business and have a lot of influence. Even in tough situations like a labor camp, an Igbo person might become the leader in just a year. In the past, Northerners did not pay much attention to their roles and responsibilities. For example, in 1952, there were only a few Northerners working in the government in the northern Nigeria. But efforts were made to change this through a policy called Northernization. Now, many important jobs are held by Northerners. Ahmadu Bello, the Sultana of Sokoto, talked about these ideas just before he was killed in the coup of 1966, led by the Igbo military officer. His death, along with the death of other important Northerners, made many Northerners worried that Igbos wanted to take over the country. These were all things of concerns and tribes and ethnics. In July 1966, there was a violent response to a coup in Nigeria. About 240 soldiers, many of them were Igbos, were killed along with thousands of civilians from the south living in the north. The Nigerian army was said to be behind this killing, which happened in different cities in the north. After this, almost all Igbo people in the north either died, hid, or went back to eastern region. At the same time, Northerners were forced out of the eastern region. This sad part of Nigerian history happened 58 years ago, but we have moved on as a nation. In 2023, we saw how deeply tribalism has affected our country. People were unfairly labeled as having a tainted bloodline just for marrying someone from a different tribe. Some were even stopped from voting because they were seen as outsiders trying to dominate us. This is a dangerous path with a terrible history. These tribal conflicts are not much different from Hitler's campaign against the Jew. If we consider Hitler a terrible person, what does it say about us when we use our power to block someone from a different ethnic group and favor our own instead, even though our own might not be qualified or good for the job? It is simple to look at how former President Muhammadu Buhari favored his own people, or why President Bola Tinubu mostly appoints Yoruba folks to the top jobs. But these questions say more about us, the voters, than we realize. When politicians see the average voter, they don't see someone who chooses leader based on their abilities or track record. Instead, they see people who can be easily influenced by tribal or religious affiliations. Politicians feel like they are pulling strings, making people do bad things, like attacking fellow citizens or stopping them from voting. Since many Nigerians prioritize their tribe over what is right, it makes the politician's job too easy. They target people, set them up against themselves. If we cannot address underlying issues driving our tribal conflicts, what right do we have to cry about racism? What sort of society are we building? If we cannot move beyond these divisions, what good is it to me if the president is from my state? But if it's ineffective, my state will develop far more under a competent leader, regardless of their ethnic background or their tribe or their religion. Let's strive for a Nigeria united by common goals and values, not divided by tribes' affiliation. We must understand that we can only build a better country with good leaders, regardless of ethnicity. Above all, I hope our country does not descend into larger conflicts due to intolerance and selfishness of tribalism. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comment below. Until next time, thank you.